For those of you whom I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, I'm Lale Welsh, the CEO and Executive Director at the Neuromuscular Disease Foundation. This is our event. This is our 5th annual symposium. And we're really proud of how much we've grown and how much, with your help, we've got the word out about not only our disease, but this organization that is representing all stakeholders. That means not just patients and family members, but also scientists and community members interested in coming up with solutions. There's a few people to thank. First and foremost, I would like to thank Ultragenics. I know they're planning on being here today, which is unbelievable, given that this time last year, I stood here and made the announcement that just one day before our symposium, the phase 3 clinical trial failed to meet its endpoints, which was an extremely disappointing day for so many of us in this industry. Just 1 year later, they have not only continued to support our symposium, but a couple of them are coming in today, which really goes to show you that Ultragenics is not like the typical pharmaceutical company out there, and that it really does care. So I just want to put that out there. And unfortunately, they're not here yet. I just got a text saying that they're on their way. So I really want to thank them. Also, private foundations that have helped make this day possible. A lot of private foundations have come forward. We're going to make an announcement a little bit later about that. But also, I want to thank our scientific advisory committee. We have Wayne Grody, and we have Madhuri Hegde, and so many of our board members here today, also very much responsible for making days like this come together. Want to thank the NIH for being here, UCLA, our partners at Yale, PerkinElmer, Hadassah, the ENMC, and even Newcastle University, and we'll be referring to all of these guys later. Primarily, of course, it's the patients that make days like this happen. We do everything that we do. The reason that we wake up every day and get through the day and continue to push forward is because of our patients. And they make up the individual donors as well as their friends and family, because outside of that, in rare orphan diseases, that's pretty much who is here to support us. If we're looking around the room and looking for people to help us outside of this community, you can forget it. It's us, but we're good. Okay, so thank you. And especially wanted to thank our volunteers and temporary staff, Rachel, Tara, Amy, John, and the many CPAs throughout the world who help get the message out and, help us do what we do. Can we go to the next slide, please? This symposium is a culmination of all of our efforts. It is more than just one day. It's more than just 2 days. It's really a combination of all of our programs that we've put together, but also an opportunity for patients and family members to get together with scientists and with one another and talk about things that are sometimes considered taboo in private sessions, but important to get out nonetheless. I can't tell you how many times I take phone calls from people who are going through the various stages of grief with grappling with this condition. And this is, for me, 4 years now with NDF, been each time equally jarring to be transported into the lives and psychology of what it must be like. However, I cannot tell you how humbling it is to work with patients and see the tenacity and the strength and the motivation that they display and also impart to me. But essentially our programs break down into 3 areas: education and outreach, which is, you know, exactly what we're doing here today, bringing smart people to talk about this disease in ways that we can all learn from, and also awareness campaigns across the world, genetic screenings. We have Dr. Ackler here today, who's going to be doing genetic screenings for carriers, as well as taking blood, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment also. But also, you know, helps the physician education that we do with the help of ambassadors or the community members in general and the CPAs around the world. We really do have more of an opportunity to educate physicians, which then results in proper diagnosis, which then equals better research. So all of those things are things that happen because we have an opportunity to get together. The second and most, you know, costly portion of our programs is, of course, the clinical research that we do. To date, NDF has spent over $2 million in clinical research, much of it which has resulted in the information that we have, including the work we do with Hadassah. And of course, now we have our own scientific director, Dr. Monkol Lek, from whom you'll be hearing later, who has his lab at Yale, so they've become pretty big partners for us. And Perkin Elmer, Madhuri Hegde, who's sitting right there, we've been doing a whole genomic sequencing project with them, which she'll talk about later, and why that's such a big piece of gene therapy. And Nationwide Children's Hospital, with whom we started the pre-IND process for gene therapy, and of course NIH, who is working on the only real treatment out there at this time, potentially, and the entire morning pretty much is dedicated to NIH. And I wanted to give a shout out to the new money behind and the company behind NIH, the folks from Ledient. Where are you guys? If you could stand up and just take a bow real quick, because Ledient, if you could give them a round of applause, is actually the ones that have stepped up and are helping to make Manac get to market. So that's huge. We're going to hear from them later as well. And of course, the final piece of it is the global advocacy that we do, because advocacy is so much more than just speaking up for patients. It's our raison d'etre. It's everything that we do. And the representation that we have, we went from 5 years ago basically serving one zip code to we have representation now in, and I'm proud to say this, 23 countries. Huh? What do you think? So a lot of this is because of the work our NDF certified patient advocates have been doing, and we have those now in 12 countries. Tonight we're going to celebrate some new patient advocates, and of course all over the United States. This program is led by Tara and Amy, who you guys all know. Is Amy in the room? Is Amy here yet? Tara? Yeah, she's Amy? Oh, hi Amy. Hi John. Tara and Amy are our patient advocacy program managers, and what we love about this program is it not only empowers our own patients to do something and come forward in their own solutions, but also really provides us the kind of help that we need. So it's an elegant win-win, which we always strive for. So the countries that we are represented in right now are UK, USA, Canada, Israel, Turkey, Nepal, India, the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, Italy, France, Germany, and the Ivory Coast. Thank you to all of you who are here from there. One more slide, please. Next slide, please. And we've had international patient days so far. The most recent one was in Manchester in the United Kingdom. We've had one in Israel. We've had, with the help of Dr. Bhattacharya and the G&E Myopathy International Group, they hosted an event that we participated in India. The South Koreans have done their own, and of course, Israel, we had a nice patient day. Dr. Ackler was there also. We can talk about that a little bit more. And next year, we're hoping to have even more countries represented. So these things will continue to happen on a localized basis throughout the world and in cities facilities near you. So if you are interested in signing up to become a certified patient advocate, please let us know. Or if you just want to help host something in your own town and know other patients, also let us know. Next slide, please. So there's some announcements that I'd like to make today in terms of what you can expect. I'm going to keep this short so that we can get to the rest of our programs. But from noon on, and hopefully maybe even sooner, Dr. Ackler will in fact be taking blood and skin samples from those of you patients and unaffected family members who are interested in volunteering for this. This is an extremely important and valuable opportunity while we're all here together in the same room to get tissue samples and blood samples so that we can do a multitude of different experiments and tests that will buttress our efforts for gene therapy, but also provide us with any answers to things that we haven't previously been able to get to. So we'll talk about that throughout the day, and it'll become more and more clear. But if you have signed up to give blood or tissue sample, I really just want to give you a heartfelt thank you, because it is an extremely important step that we haven't been able to do. Dr. Wayne Garodi is nodding vigorously, so thank you for that acknowledgement. It is an important thing that we're doing, and we'll be able to create cell lines. We'll be able to take a look at this through whole genomic sequencing. Maduri will talk a little bit about that later on, but thank you. Please don't back out. And from what I understand, the skin biopsy is going to be conducted by Dr. Shea. It's a very small 2 millimeter needle. It hardly hurts, that's what I've been told. And it does leave a small scar, but it's actually a very small incision. Dr. Grody, maybe you can talk about that when you're on the panel if you've got any experience with that. And of course, any unaffected family members that have signed up, it will give us a look at the opportunity to have a look at the comparisons between what mutations exist in non-affected family members and our patients. And again, more of that later. So really thank you to his team and UCLA and the entire Department of Neurology and the Geffen School of Medicine. And then tomorrow, Dr. Ackler, and today, is going to also be doing carrier screening, which may seem redundant in a room like this, but I assure you guys that those of you in this room who are affected will in fact have family members that are as well. So you might want to encourage that if you have friends in the Los Angeles area, please text them and let them know they can come here and do that today. And also Dr. Ackler can continue doing this on the East Coast. For those of you on the East Coast, this is something that's made available all the time as well. You can talk to him about that. Please ask us about the at-home kits. These can be done, genetic carrier screenings can be done with just a swab, a saliva swab, and it can be sent to your home, so it can be done privately and through your insurance, or you can pay cash. It's entirely up to you. And then today we're going to mix it up a little bit. Normally we have a break between the day and the dinner program, but we've decided we're going to go straight into the program immediately following today and have a probably badly needed cocktail and into dinner. So you'll have an opportunity to mix and mingle right after the program today at 5:30. And finally, I have a brief announcement about NDF's current efforts to find treatments for patients globally. Can you go to the next slide? We have received a lot of phone calls in the last few months about things that are misconceptions out there. I'd like to have one opportunity to clarify right now. Number one, the MANAC trial has not been stopped, okay? Number one, please don't ever call me about that, okay? The MANAC trial is going on, and Marianne and Keenan are here to speak about that today. And not only it's going on, but it's extraordinarily exciting. So I'll let them reveal that. Number two, NDF has not stopped working on gene therapy since December 4th of 2015. Okay, we have not stopped. Somehow the rumor got out that we abandoned gene therapy. That is not true. We are conducting critical research that we believe is going to support our efforts in gene therapy. And gene therapy is brand new. Gene therapy is something you can only do once in a lifetime. If you guys were my loved ones, there is no way that I would allow you to be dosed before we know everything we can know about this. And quite frankly, in the muscle, which is a little different than working on the eye or, smaller areas, muscle is systemic and it's the entire body, and it's a little bit more difficult, but we are going to be working in tandem with all of our scientists, including guidance from the NIH that they've kindly offered, and including guidance from biotech. Because guys, at the end of the day, when we start gene therapy, we'll be able to get it to phase 1 with academia and about $5 million. But who's going to take it all the way to market? It's going to be a biotech. And what we want to do now is to make sure we're doing it in a way that makes it attractive for that biotech company, whoever they may be. And we are interviewing them, and we are talking to them, and we're trying to make ourselves look cute to them. That they will in fact pick up that ball and run with it all the way to market. So that is the day that I will calm down, and that is the day that I will stop worrying about gene therapy, when it's in the market and insurance covers it and you guys can actually get it. Okay, so that's what's going to happen with gene therapy. So that's a little bit further down the road. That's good news. And put it in perspective for you, there's a lot of rare diseases out there that have absolutely no treatments in place. We have potentially manic and gene therapy. You guys, this is the right time to be affected by any disease. If there was ever a better time, I don't know it, because the technology is changing on a daily basis and the news changes all the time. So in many ways, I'm also glad that we weren't the first to the gene therapy market, because we're learning from the pitfalls of others' experience, and we're going to duplicate their successes. So hopefully that's something that we'll learn about throughout the day. Finally, the biggest and best announcement that I'm going to make today, and I've been authorized to do this, is that we, in spite of never having had enough money, I've been working on a grant for about a year with a friend of NDF's who guided me and wants to remain anonymous. Through a private foundation, NDF has been awarded a matching grant in the amount of $2.5 million towards gene therapy. This is a game changer, people. This means that we now have all of the doctors in place, all of the studies in place, the money in place, and hopefully over the next few weeks, the biotech in place, so that this is going to be something we can knock out of the ballpark. So for those of you who were irritated that it was taking too long, please understand a lot of things go into this, and we're at an amazing place to be able to run through walls for you. So without further ado, I just want to, can we go to the next slide? Thank the person who makes all of this possible for me. NDF is just Nancy and I for the most part, and she's supposed to be part-time, but there's no way Nancy can do anything part-time. She's like on it. And because she took over so many of my day-to-day tasks, she's actually been able, can you hit play, to make it possible for me to go get grants like this. So Nancy, where are you? Nancy, thank you so much. Can you stand up and take a bow? Thank you, Nancy. Ralph, can you hold up the big box of chocolates for her? Big, giant box of chocolates for you here. Guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on and off stage. Thank you so much for coming.